I have two fundamental problems with the George Floyd issue. One is I'm a white middle class male who lives in the UK and I'm a Catholic. So my issues. Basically, I've really been agonizing whether to speak about this issue, and I've seen so many people so angry. I have some black friends who are just in bits about this. It's like it's the last straw. It's the final thing that's kind of snapped them. And then there's kind of people who are just really angry and really animated about this issue. It kind of seems to be, I don't know, under the surface. Now, it's not under the surface, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's an under the surface issue, but I was watching the news yesterday and it was like the third item on the news. Now, maybe last week it got loads of coverage, but it kind of, I don't know, it just feels like maybe it's because it's in another country somewhere else. Like for us in the UK, it's happened somewhere else to someone else. It's their issue. It's an American problem. Now, obviously, racism, discrimination, anti-Semitism, whatever form of discrimination you see, you could always say it's someone else's issue. It's their problem over there. Like in the Second World War, the Jews being exterminated in the concentration camps. Well, you could say, oh, it's their problem over there, nothing to do with me. I just want to win the war. And what's happened is that millions of Jews around the world feel betrayed and abandoned by the rest of the world during the Second World War because we weren't fighting it to stop them being exterminated because we didn't even believe that that was happening. We just fought it to, obviously, to win it. That was obviously the right thing to do, but it wasn't because we wanted to stop that discrimination from happening. And that's what they're left with. Yet as a white middle-class male living in the UK, I'm oblivious to that, or I have been oblivious to that. I'm not anymore, but I have been oblivious to that issue. And when you're oblivious to issues, you don't recognize the pain that your ignorance is causing to other people. And one of the problems I've found about, even thinking of doing this video is that, who am I to say anything? I'm some white bloke from the UK. Does anyone really care what I think? And I don't want to appear insincere or appear to be kind of woke or trying to jump on the bandwagon of, hey, I need to say something about this just to look relevant, because that is the complete opposite of what I'm feeling. I'm even thinking, well, is what I'm saying any use whatsoever? I don't want to add harm to this situation, which is just breaking the hearts of millions of people around the world. So my first problem is that I'm a white middle-class male from the UK. Let's say, I know that I am blamed by many people for many of the wrongs in our world. And not me personally, but just white men are blamed for so much oppression and hurt and discrimination around the world. Now, I can't help being a white middle-class male from the UK. I didn't ask for that. But what I can do is recognize that my experience is probably one of the most privileged on the face of the earth. I have no problems with anything. And my country is one of the wealthiest countries in the world I have no problems whatsoever. And because I have no problems, it can be very difficult for me and many people like me to recognize how I'm contributing to their problems, because I'm fine. And while there may be many people like myself feeling outraged, feeling shocked, feeling angry about this issue, we won't speak up about it because we probably think it's someone else's issue somewhere else. And that causes more harm because it is our issue. If we don't show solidarity with those who are struggling and those who are suffering, well, we're only contributing to their problem. It doesn't mean we have to be like super woke and trying to be something we're not. And that's been part of my conflict with even recording this is, am I going to appear to be something I'm not, trying to be something I'm not? I care about social justice deeply and profoundly. but I'm no like crusader or massive campaigner. I do things in my own way. I try to live a relatively ethical life. I buy clothes which are ethically made, and I do those things. I don't sort of make a massive crusade about it. But maybe there are times when you have to say something. And my second problem is I'm a Catholic. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the Catholic Church. I love it to bits. But it does seem often, and it's just been amazing that those American bishops have spoken up about this issue, but it does seem often that, well, I don't know, bishops I kind of see don't really speak up much about much that seems that important in society. They speak about issues, but nothing that seems to be difficult or they might get abused for or attacked for. And maybe if I was in their position, I wouldn't either. Maybe there's a lot to lose and you've got to be very careful. I don't know. You start being a politician. I don't know. But as a Catholic Church, I think we can often give the impression that we are above or we are better than those in the world around us or the problems of the world around us. I think just part of saying this, however it comes across, is simply to say, if you're angry at the moment, if you're struggling at the moment, if you want justice at the moment, we're with you. We're in this world together. And we need to fight together for justice, for solidarity, for love and compassion in our world. That's what we're called to do. And as Catholics, we're not better than anyone else, but by the very fact we don't say anything often on issues that matter so much to people, fundamentally to people, that black people are being killed by the police in America. And I just want to say, when I first saw the footage of George Floyd's killing, I was absolutely and utterly shocked. I think two things. If that had been a film, first of all, it looked like it was out of a movie or a film. That's what it looked like to me, like some white supremacist police kind of killing a black guy. That's what it looked like. And then the fact it wasn't a film. If it was a film or a movie, it would have been disturbing enough. The fact it wasn't a film or a movie makes it profoundly evil in its ordinariness. And we're talking about Minnesota. Now, I don't have a vast knowledge of the States. I've been on holiday a number of times. I love the States. In my mind, Minnesota is not a hotbed of racism. Now, I could be really wrong. It just doesn't have that kind of image in my head. And here we are in an ordinary part of America on an ordinary day with a black guy who's being accused of counterfeit money or whatever. Yet here on this ordinary day, we see, 3 police officers kneeling on him. He's already handcuffed and one kneeling on his neck. Seeing that image of those 3 police officers kneeling on George Floyd, and that in particular, that officer kneeling on his neck for about 8 minutes, even when he'd gone unconscious, just kneeling until the paramedic asked him to remove his knee. And he just looked so in command, this is what I want to do. Not, is it necessary? It was horrific to see that. And I think that's what's probably broken my heart about this, that to see someone being killed in such a blatant way as something that apparently could be normal on a normal day in a normal part of America is gut-wrenching and heartbreaking. So not jumping on a bandwagon, but as a Catholic, do I stay silent because it's not appropriate to say anything? Because, I should be focused on the gospel, which is what I really feel God calling me to talk about. It's the gospel and Jesus, because we need Jesus in our lives. We need our lives transformed by Jesus. All this pain, all this division in our world, Jesus brings healing to our hearts. He helps us to open our hearts to go beyond ourselves, to our neighbor, to love those that we hate, to love those who seem to hate us. That is the message of Jesus, to love our neighbor as ourselves, to sacrifice ourselves for others. Yet often the church that proclaims Jesus often doesn't do it in situations which seem difficult or unpopular. So I just wanted to say, as a Catholic priest, to all those who are struggling and those who are suffering, I may not be the most amazing activist in the world, but I'm heartbroken at what I've seen. I'm heartbroken at the injustice that exists that's caused that situation to happen, that black man's life has not seemed to have mattered. And maybe that is the experience of many African Americans and black people around the world every single day. Yet because I live in my white middle class UK privilege, I don't even give it a second thought, because I'm part of a church that often cares what people think of it and wants to fit in with the society around it. It doesn't say anything and looks like it thinks it's better. When in fact, it's not. It's probably just scared to say something for fear of causing upset or getting it wrong. Because I think we've got it so wrong over the last 30 years, especially with the sex abuse scandals. We've got it completely wrong. So why do we want to carry on getting it wrong? So let's keep our mouths shut. And the more we keep our mouths shut, the more people suffer and the more injustice happens. So yeah, this wouldn't be my usual video at all. I'd probably be talking about how the Bible can change your life and how Jesus changes our lives. But I just feel it's important and necessary in this moment to say this, because maybe there aren't many white middle class people saying it, but they're thinking it. I know they're thinking it because I've chatted with people and they think it. And maybe there aren't many Catholics saying it because we're afraid to say it. So to my black friends, just to say we're with you. We might not understand where you're coming from because we probably can't, but we're with you and we'll support you and we'll do everything we can to help you to have justice and that you can live your lives with the privilege and the freedoms that us white people who are from posh countries can as well. So please, I hope my words have not been insincere. They've not been intended to be insincere, but to explain the dilemma that maybe I'm feeling, that many people are feeling, and to say, despite that dilemma, we're with you, I'm with you, and we'll in our hearts pray that you will get the justice that you deserve, the justice you've been crying out for centuries, and that maybe George Floyd's life has not been lost in vain, but given for significant and profound change in a world that needs that change so much.